back at it again, and we have one with Ben Shapiro. Yeah, we know how these usually go. Let's dive in.
All right. Hello. I just wanted to ask. So I wanted to bring up the fact that you talked about individuals and everything, and I wanted to bring up a few examples, like for example, like COVID and like say like the 2008 financial collapse and even like the 1994 crime bill and things like that. Those have definitely effects on big groups and especially like the black community and everything. Like after the 2008 financial collapse, not many people got, like I wouldn't say accused, but convicted, for example. Not many people on Wall Street, the individuals who did profit a lot from those things. But millions of people were kicked out of their homes and everything. And you talk about like things like these being, or America being, based on individuals and individuals wanting to achieve different things. But in reality, a lot of like people are affected by their societal factors, their environment and everything. So I want to get your answer on that and like how these negative effects, affect the majority of people. But the positives, the money gains, the Wall Street things, not many of the working class people in Tallahassee, for example, feel that. Not many people in Tallahassee felt the after COVID or during COVID, the stock market jumps. The average employer just saw a bunch of just empty, employment, options and low wages and everything still, and the same old. So,
so I think that the fundamental idea with regard to, it's almost two separate questions, and so I'm going to take them one at a time. The reason I'm separating the questions is because when it comes to corporate bailouts, for example, I'm sure you and I agree. I don't think that any of those corporations should have been bailed out. I think that if you engage in the moral hazard of wrecking your own company, I don't see why I'm supposed to pay for that or you're supposed to pay for that.
Absolutely. Why am I paying for your F-ups? You gonna pay for my F-ups too? No, of course not. You screwed up, so bye-bye to your company. Do y'all agree? Let me know in the comment section. I agree with Ben on that. Why are we bailing out companies? Yeah, sure, those companies do hire quite a number of folks, and we can talk about that. But at the same time, I just feel like you're incentivizing bad behavior. If companies know, oh yeah, the government's just gonna step in and bail us out, if we get into, some high waters, you know what I mean? But y'all let me know how you feeling.
In a free market system, you're supposed to bear the consequences of the risks that you take. I think that's true across the board. And I think that whether you're a big rich guy on Wall Street and you lose your entire company, or whether you're a guy who took out a loan that you couldn't afford on your house, if you take out too much, that is, as I am constantly saying, a you problem. If you take a risk and then you bear the consequence of that risk, that's no one's fault but your own.
Yep.
And anybody who comes in to bail you out from that, particularly if you're talking about with like billions of dollars in order to prop up a particular lifestyle, that's a huge mistake and it's a huge problem. And I totally agree with that.
And for example, with that, like, we in America, we do bail these people out. Our capitalist system does not.
That's not capitalism. That's cronyism.
It definitely, yeah. People say that, but
no, but it's true.
It's
no, but it's
we do bail these people out. And
right. I'm just saying that that's not capitalism. That's actually closer to corporatism, which is the government being in control of the economy, essentially. I mean, who's bailing them out? I mean, are they bailing them out? The government is bailing them out.
Yeah, definitely the government. And for example, we don't get these similar bailouts for regular people. Like, for example, Joe Biden.
That's why we shouldn't have these bailouts, because they aren't for regular people. The government isn't stepping in and saying, oh, you know what? I see you took out too big of a loan on your home, so, we're going to pay it off for you. No problem. No issue, okay? Don't even worry about it. We got you. Now, if the government was doing that, first off, I would completely disagree. But if the government was doing that, then we'd have a different conversation.
For example, we don't get these similar bailouts for regular people. Like, for example, Joe Biden was, promoting just $2,000. We're fighting for scraps. I want to understand, like, where does that come from? Like, why are we so, willing to give?
Well, I mean, the United States does spend literally trillions of dollars on social welfare programs. The notion the United States has no social safety net at all is not true. The United States spends per citizen tens of thousands of dollars on social welfare benefits, ranging from Medicaid to food stamps to unemployment insurance to a wide variety of programs.
Which all of that needs to be overhauled as well, because I told you guys about some of the stories and situations that I've personally seen. People circumventing the system and having food stamps when they really don't even need them. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the poor in America is totally different than poor in the rest of the world. We have a totally different idea of what poor actually is. I think people have too high of a standard on what poor actually is here in America. But that's just my opinion. You guys can let me know how you feel in the comments section, all right?
The notion that we're wildly out of line with Europe is just not borne out by the statistical facts, actually. It's kind of an American myth that we tell ourselves, that we don't spend any money on this sort of stuff. It's not true. Since the beginning of the war on poverty, we spent something like $22 trillion on various social programs, and essentially the same number of people live underneath the poverty line.
Okay, and then a last question. So we have this infrastructure bill going through, and you see people like Joe Manchin, arguing over, what is it, $5 billion in regards to it, or just, just a little price difference, for example. Over the past 20 years, we've been fighting wars in Afghanistan, and we spent trillions and billions of dollars. And you have these politicians saying that these infrastructure bills that will help us on our domestic front, these small price changes are going to have dramatic effects on, our future and our children. And that's why they, the Republican Party, they definitely, go for austerity in those, factors.
So the wars, to take an example, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were expensive. They cost grand total somewhere between $3 and $4 trillion last I checked. The United States spends about $4 trillion in the budget every single year, and we spent about $7 trillion last year. That's every year, right?
Yeah, I just want to know what that means for the future of our children. If we're willing to spend that much on war, like, what does that mean in regards to, these infrastructure bills, us fighting over these small amounts in comparison to war?
We're not really fighting over small amounts. These are very large amounts of money. The entire American budget 40 years ago was not nearly as much as one of these infrastructure bills. 20 years ago it wasn't. And you just go back and look at the budgeting. So we're spending unsustainable amounts of money on nearly everything in American life to point.
And I think that's part of the problem with, politicians these days. They just want to throw money at anything and everything. Oh, there's an issue. Oh, throw some money at it. Issue, throw some money at it. Issue, throw some money at it. Throw more money at it. Throw some billions, trillions. And it's just like, whoa. Let's rein it in a little bit. My goodness. Is this how you manage your own bank account? It can't be. There's no possible way. You'd be flat broke.
Budgeting. So we're spending unsustainable amounts of money on nearly everything in American life to point out defense spending as opposed to what really constitutes the vast bulk of our budget, which is everything else. Defense spending as a percentage of the American budget is something like 20%, 25% of the American budget. I think it was even that high. That is not the chief driver of systemic spending problems in the United States. It's massive mandatory spending programs. I have to ask you a question. Were you the guy before who I saw a picture of holding the very creative flag?
Yes, it was outside.
Yeah, dude, I got to ask you, Lenin and Stalin? Really?
Yeah, definitely Lenin and Stalin. It's just
Lenin and Stalin?
Stalin
really?
definitely due to World War II.
We're talking about exploitation of people. Stalin.
We do a lot of that in America too. I live in Tallahassee. There's a lot of exploitation.
Oh, pull the mic back a little bit. Sheesh.
I live in Tallahassee. There's a lot of exploitation. I used to work at a lot of places, and there's a lot of poor people.
Were you gulags though?
We have prisons in America too.
Were you one of the 30 million people murdered by Stalin? Really, if you're gonna go Marxist, then please find a better Marxist to emulate than Lenin or Stalin, mass murderers.
The Soviet Union during World War II saved the world. I would say that.
If it had not been for Stalin, World War II never would have started, because it was the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact that allowed the Nazi Germans to believe that they could invade Eastern Europe.
So, interesting conversation there. That thing took a weird turn at the end. The conversation was going pretty decent, and then right there at the end, he dropped just a random bomb on us. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Stalin? Really? Wow. But, one thing that I love about Ben is that whenever he's asked a question, he always has the answer. There's never, at least I haven't seen a moment where there was a gotcha moment, like the moment that Jordan Peterson had with Kathy Newman, I believe her name was, where he stumped her. He was like, gotcha. I've never seen Ben have that moment. Now, if there is a video out there where, there was a gotcha moment on Ben Shapiro, please let me know. Let me know in the comment section. I'll pull it up and we'll check it out together for sure. But I just don't see how that is ever or would ever even be possible. I feel like in every situation. After every question, he's got an answer, and it's on point, it's accurate, it's with facts. Sometimes, like I said before, his delivery is a little harsh, and I'm fine with that. But one thing you can't say is that he doesn't come with the facts. But I'll end it with this. First off, the whole Stalin and him defending it and saying that those types of things happen here is just absolutely, positively crazy. You know, he's a lunatic for saying that. But then, you know, more importantly is just the fact that, you know, every system has its flaws, right? Because I see so many people trying to bash capitalism and the way that, you know, America is run, and they point to some of the worst parts of it. Every system is going to have its flaws. There's always going to be someone or group of individuals that are trying to circumvent the system. That's just the way that it goes. Everywhere. There's always going to be someone or some group that wants to, you know, stand on top of the mountain. So I think that's something that we all have to remember and take into account when we see certain bad things that happen, you know, that we may not like so much. Does that mean that we have to just sit back on our hands and just accept it? No, but it does mean that we shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak. We shouldn't just throw the whole system out just because there's a couple of people that, you know, have circumvented it and, you know, have taken advantage of, you know, a couple of loopholes. We fix the loopholes. We don't just throw away the whole system. But that's just the way that I see it. You guys can let me know how you feel about it in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, and of course, hit that subscribe button before you go. It's totally free. All right. And if you would like to support the channel more than you already have, my PayPal link is in the description box below. Peace and love. I'm out.